Hey, how's it going? How's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing okay. I didn't bother to set up any lights or anything. This is just going to be not a whole lot going in this video. I'm not showing off any things. This is just another funny or wrapped up story about my life. This one here goes back to when I was in my early 20s and I guess 20-ish, 21 around there. And I had a roommate, turned out was a thieving piece of shit. Um, So we'll talk about him in just a second. But in the meantime, if you want to subscribe, help me get up to 1,000 subs, that would be great. Sorry, not the most exciting introduction. I'm not in a bad mood or anything. I don't know why. The enthusiasm just kind of disappeared out of my the way it usually is. But anyway, yes, sorry, I'll get back. I will be more enthused right now. So anyway, yeah, if you want to like and subscribe, comment, do all that fun stuff, at least comment after the video, at least try and watch the whole thing. But anyway, yes, this is about a roommate I had. His name was Corey. I'm not going to say anything about his last name or anything. Just privacy reasons, I guess. And I don't need the aggravation, but who knows? He might even be dead by now. Who knows? Who cares? Guy was a douche. But anyway, so travel back in time to early 20s when when I still had hair and no tattoos, but and my beard was black or brown. I think it was brown, brownish red, not grayish gray. But so anyway, I was at the time I was living in small town Uxbridge, where my wife is from. I was actually I'd moved out of my parents' home and I moved into her parents' home while she was living there, and just things weren't the greatest at home at the time. It was just I didn't just there's just too many people there. It was crowded and whatever, personal reasons and stuff. But and also I just wanted to move out. So anyway, so I'm living there for a little while and thinking, I really want to get out. I want to move to Toronto, move back. Well, I grew up in Mississauga, which is beside Toronto, but I actually wanted to move to downtown Toronto. Things were a little bit cheaper then, quite a bit cheaper, in fact. But anyway, so I'm talking. Tracy has a friend, Lisa, who I'm also friends with, but not nearly as close as Tracy is. They grew up together. They've traveled together, so they're like really tight. But Tracy didn't want to move out yet. But I was talking to Tracy's friend. Her name's Lisa. Just leave it at that. And she's not the one that was stealing with me, by the way. It was, like I said, the other guy, Corey. But so anyway, we were sitting on a patio one day, the three of us, me, Tracy, and Lisa, and I'm talking about moving out. And she wanted to move downtown as well because she lived in the area close to Tracy. So we just started chatting, and we just sort of figured, well, why don't we just be roommates? And and if we find another person, that'd be great. And to share the rent, we'll be downtown because we were still in our partying days. We like to go to clubs, like to go to the goth clubs, goth bars, and go dancing and do all the stuff that young people like to do. That even at 52, I still kind of enjoy doing it. It just doesn't happen very often at all. Just you grow up, things happen, you don't have the time. But anyway, that being said, so we end up finding a place, and there was a guy in sort of on the outside of our circle of friends. He wasn't like on the inner circle, but a friend of a friend kind of guy that he hung out once in a while with us. And his name was Corey. And so we somehow opted with him, and that was fine. And actually, Lisa, sorry, my mistake. Lisa was actually already living downtown. I forgot. Yeah, because she was going to school. That's right. Because I remember hanging out at her place with the roommate she had before. But I guess she was either back home or she was just visiting. And but anyway, that's really irrelevant. It just popped into my head that she was actually already living downtown. And but so skip ahead, we find this place. Now, rent in Toronto is fucking ridiculous. Like most people, almost nobody can afford to live on their own unless you plan on either not eating or not having any money aside just to pay the rent and the bills. It's one of the really things I hate about pretty much any major big city. But I live in Toronto, so that's where it matters to me. And that's one of the things I'm disgusted by Toronto is the amount of money you have to spend just to have a shitty little apartment. But anyway, back then we had a 3-bedroom apartment, and a 3 bedroom apartment now would be like minimum close to $3,000 a month. But we were paying 1050 inclusive. Well, actually, I'm going to say inclusive. I can't remember. I mean, I think we had to pay for cable and other things like that. The internet was very new at the time, and so we had a 3 bedroom apartment. We were each paying $350 each, and the money I was making at the time was pretty decent for the amount of for the cost of living and the cost of going out and cost of just drinking a beer at the bar was considerably cheaper than it is now, and so we ended up getting the three of us having room. An apartment together right downtown Toronto, good area, right, literally right beside the subway station. It was a perfect place. It was above a store, and there was an apartment above us that also had young people living in it. Hello, I gotcha. Which also had like young people living in it, but we didn't really talk to them that much besides saying hi every now and then. But yeah, it was a great place. And okay, I'll put you down. But anyway, yeah. So this guy Corey, I don't know what he was doing for money at the time, but he needed a job eventually. So I was working in a restaurant, and so I got him a job in the restaurant. For him, it was nothing. It wasn't a spectacular job. It was easy, just making some salads and dishwashing essentially. So I got him a job, and he was doing all right. And then just one day, he just I can't remember if he got fired or what the deal was. He was not employed there anymore. So the chef, this guy Dave, who's occasionally a good guy, often a bully, he actually got him a job at another restaurant because his father-in-law owned a restaurant. So he got him a job there, kind of doing the same thing. And then so skip ahead, he's there for about a month. He was working at the restaurant I was at probably about 6 months at best. So he got him a job at this other restaurant, and so he's there, and just one day he just calls and says his sister got into a car accident. Now I know he had a sister. I met his sister, so got said she got into a car accident. Didn't come in or whatever. I didn't know if it was true or not because I didn't really see him that day. And so when I get home, I said, "Hey, how you feeling?" Whatever, and he goes, "Yeah, my sister might lose a leg, whatever." And then he starts laughing, and I go, "Oh, you're an asshole, man! Like, fuck, man, you had to be worried." And Dave's all mad and stuff. And then after that, Corey just, she's playing. Corey just stopped showing up for a shift at the other restaurant. He just stopped showing up. Of course, the chef's mad at me, and I'm like, "What the fuck can I do about it? I can't drag him by his hand and send him to work." So, but anyway, so now he's living there unemployed. Lisa's there, and she's helping him out, paying some rent. Now, eventually, Lisa leaves, and she goes to Japan. I don't know why to live for a little while, but she was still paying her share of the rent for a while. And from what I understand, she was also still helping him out. Where the money, how she was getting the money to cover that, I don't know. It's I don't really care, but I started noticing he's not working. He never leaves his room. He's always on the computer. Now back then it was dial up, so I was really starting to dislike him at this point because he was getting all sketchy. And one day I busted up my ankle and I asked him, there was a McDonald's literally like right next door, and I said, "Can you run to the McDonald's for me? Here's some money. I'll even buy." He just says no, just flat out. So basically, I went the whole day without eating with this busted up ankle, and I realized, okay, this guy's actually a piece of shit. You know, we used to hang out, we go to clubs together and this, but in reality, I'm starting to see him for what he really is and just trash. So often what I would do now, if dial up, you had to leave the phone hung up for the connection to stay. So I would just be a dick and just every once in a while just pick up the phone and put it right back down. And then you go, "Fuck, did you pick up the phone?" Because it was before cell phones. And I was like, "No, I'm just watching TV." And I would do it all the fucking time. And he was getting mad. And I don't know if he was calling like the internet, like whoever was the provider was then. I'm not sure. It was like 30 years ago. And he was just losing his shit because I would do it all the time. And I would say, "Wasn't me. Wasn't me." So anyway, I'm still going to work every day. And then I had this purple piggy bank, this plastic one that you can kind of see through. It was literally a plastic pig. You couldn't get the money out unless you shook it out the top, and it was very flexible. So if you really wanted, you could just shake it; it would fall out. So I'm putting change in this thing all the time. Like I said, I was making pretty good money, and every day I was putting change. But I'm looking at it one day, and I noticed it's not getting any fuller. And yet he's always got food. He's always got stuff, beer, whatever. He's got money to go out, and I know he's getting it. He's not working, and I know, like I said, our other former roommate was still helping him out a little bit. So I'm looking at this thing, and I'm like, this isn't getting any fuller. Like, what the fuck? Like, is he stealing from me? So I literally emptied the whole thing out, counted everything that was in there, and and I don't know how much it was. It was like $275 in change, right? So what I did is every time I put money in there, I had a piece of paper that I hid, and I was writing on it exactly what I was putting in there: 3 nickels, 4 quarters, a toonie, a loony, whatever it was that I was putting in there. I was writing it down just to keep a record for, and I did this for literally a month. So I'm looking at it, and it's still not getting any fuller. So I empty it out, and I count again. I actually had less money. It should have been, like, at this point, like, honestly, I was putting so much change in there. It should have been around $600 of change in there. I counted it. It was actually less money than what I started out with when I counted it the first time. So right then I knew he's fucking stealing it. So I started hiding it in different places, just to see, and I'd put something on it so if it got moved, I can tell it got moved. So what he was doing, and our doors had locks on them. So what he was doing, he was just credit carding his way into my room, and no matter where I put it, he would find it, and I could hide it anywhere because he's home all day, and I have to go to work. So, and I literally stopped putting money into it, and it just kept getting lower and lower and lower. So after the month, like I said, after that month, so it wasn't going lower and lower and lower. It just wasn't getting higher and higher and higher. That's what I meant to say. So after that month, I confronted him, and I said to him, I was like, I talked to you for a minute, and he's like, yeah. So I go in his room, and I'm like, you've been taking change out of my room? I mean, if you are, I just want to know. And he's like no, like flat out looks me in the face and lies and says no. And I said, dude, I've been counting the money. There's less money in there than there was literally a month ago, and I haven't taken any out. So, like, just be honest. Like, he's like, no, I didn't take any money. And I'm like, you're like, he's flat out lying to my face. So anyway, I took, excuse me, holy crap, everything that was mine. Like, he went out dancing, like a club somewhere, and I invited a friend over, and Tracy was over. And I literally went through the entire apartment, took everything that was mine, and just put it in my room. And then within a couple days, without even telling him, I actually, and before this, as I was putting everything in the room, I noticed I have a lot of shirts missing. Like, I had a lot of, like, shirts, well, more so concert shirts than, like, shirts, fun shirts like this, funny shirts and movie shirts, but it was like a lot of concert shirts that I bought at shows, and I realized there's a lot of them missing. I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm looking in the dryer, so for the next couple days I'm there, we had a washer dryer in the apartment. I was taking some of his shirts and I was throwing them over the washing machine and go down behind the dryer. But the only thing I can guess is he was taking my shirts and he was selling them. Like, he was literally selling my shit, like my stuff. So, and some CDs were missing, some of Lisa's CDs were missing. So that's how he was getting his money. He was just stealing our shit and then selling it. Like, this is a piece of shit. This is not a good person at all. So, and I got a couple other funny stories. I'll tell about them in a minute. But so I put all my shit in the room, and then so I literally, without even telling him, he was out somewhere and just took all my stuff. We put it. Well, we were taking a few pieces at a time, taking it back to Tracy's parents' house. So after, I think it was about a week, I just cleared everything out and took it back and didn't even tell him. Just, he came home one day and I was gone. And then I think that's when we mentioned it to Lisa, and suddenly he got no money. She wasn't helping him out anymore. and I wasn't there anymore. So he was kind of fucked, and that was like a bit of payback. It was really funny. So I hadn't seen him in a long time after that. One day I see him at the club, one of the clubs we go to, and he comes up to me and he's like, starts going, "Oh, you're saying shit about me, blah blah blah." And I go, "Dude, you stole my money." And he goes, "I didn't take any of your money." I go, "All my shirts are missing, something else is missing." And then he's like, "Fuck this, fuck that, whatever." And I'm like, "All right, whatever." And then he calls me, like, this was, I think, a week after I left. Then he calls me up one day, like, had treats. No, he called me at work. That's what it was. He called me at work and said there was something of mine there. I can't remember what it is, but then I remembered, oh yeah, I did leave that behind. So now I'm not scared of the guy. I wasn't, he was bigger than me, but I wasn't afraid of him or anything. So I went to his place, like back to the place to get it, and he's wearing one of my shirts. And I looked at it and I'm just like, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just keep the fucking shirt. So I took whatever it was I needed. Can't remember what it was that I left there. And left. And I told Tracy, well, Tracy's not having it. Tracy's small, but she's feisty, and she's like no, it was actually Tracy's shirt now that I remember, but it was like a big shirt that I used to wear sometimes. So we go there. Oh. So she goes in and she's like, "I want my shirt." She even told me, "Stay here. I'll just go talk to him." And he's saying, "This is my shirt." She's like, "No, that's my shirt." And eventually he gives it back to her, and the thing smelled like armpits. I don't know. I guess he wasn't bathing, but it smelled so bad. I don't know if she just washed the shirt or just threw it away. I can't remember. I know it was a Nine Inch Nails shirt. But anyway, yeah. So, and then skip ahead a little bit again, and I see him in the club, and he comes over, and he looks like shit. Like, he just looks like, I don't know where he was living, if he had just left, what the deal was. See, I wasn't on the lease. I didn't sign shit because I wasn't supposed to be living there. There was only supposed to be the two of them living there. So I wasn't even like, there's nothing there that the landlord could come to me and say, "You owe me money." I'd be like, "I never lived there. I wasn't allowed to live. I wasn't supposed to live there, right? My name wasn't on anything. So I didn't exist." But he did. And Lisa, when she left, from what I understand, told the landlord she's gone, and like, she's not living there anymore. So, but she was still paying her part of the rent or something. I don't know. That was between her and Corey, but so I don't really care. That's really none of my business. But anyway, he was by himself at this point, so he there's no way he could pay $1,000 plus a month, plus the internet and everything else that he had to cover. So I don't know, but he just looks so dirty, and I mean, he's like, you know, "Can we just put things in the past?" And he goes to shake my hand, and I just kind of look at him. I'm just like I can't remember if I told him to fuck off, or I was just no, like, get away from me, you bum, like. And then no one's really seen him since. I think someone saw him one time downtown, just walking past him on the street, but I hadn't seen him in any clubs after that. I don't know, so maybe he died. Who knows? But this guy was a real piece of shit. Now here's a funny story about him. Now, I don't shame people if you're going bald. Look at me. That's why I'm always wearing a hat, or if I'm not wearing a hat, my head's freshly shaved, which mine obviously isn't. Um, but he was going bald, and he was trying to hide it, even from the people he was living with that he thought were friends, or that we thought we were his friend. So we're looking at his hair one day. I'm sitting there, I go, "Something's up." And another person we know who was his hair was receding the same way, a friend of ours at the time, and he's like, "Something's up with that hair. Something's off about it." So I'm looking at it, and it looked like it was not sitting on his head, but sitting like above his head, like a lifted up toupee or something. And I remember one day I was sitting there, I go, "What's going on?" And he'd get all mad. He'd either wear a baseball cap all the time, or if he tried to touch the head, he'd freak out. Like, he would lose his shit. "Don't touch my head. Don't touch my fucking hair." And he dyed his hair black all the time because, kind of a gothy industrial type guy. There's always hair in the sink, like all over the place. It was so when they admitted that he's going bald, like, really, and he literally lifted up his hair like this. It has this skinny little thing in the middle, and the hair on the side, he literally lifted it up. So what he was doing, and this is funny as hell, he always had his hair in a ponytail. He never had it down. So what he would do is he would take all the hair from the top, and he would slick it all the way back, like it was really long, and he would slick it all the way back. And then from about here, he would take the hair and fold it. He'd hairspray it into place so it was hard. Fold it all the way over this way. So his hair is literally going like whoop. So the hair in the front, like the hair here rather. He did it the other way. He put it all forward. That's what he did. Put it all forward to cover up the this shit here, right? Like the balding spot. Sorry, I just had a quick message. Anyway, to cover up where there was no hair. So he put it all forward like this, and then he would hairspray that into place, and then he'd flip it all the way back, and then hairspray it there, and then take some of the pieces and hang them down here to cover the bald spots here, and then put it in a ponytail, and then he put what do you call bobby pins to keep it in place. So he was literally had his hair from here this way and then flipped back that way. And it was the funniest thing once we found out about it. But anyway, I'm going to cut this video short. Well, it's not short. It's actually longer than I expected. But anyway, yeah, real piece of shit. And I don't care what's ever happened to him. I just still think it's funny, and the whole hair thing and everything. Anyway, if you watched it all the way, thank you so much. And if you want to subscribe, help me get up to 1,000 subs, 1,000 peeps, that would be outstanding. Help me out. And if you want to comment, if you've had any situations like that you want to put in the comments below, I'll definitely get back to you, and we can laugh about it together, unless yours was a shittier one, and then I'm sorry that happened. And if you want to like and do all that fun YouTube stuff, that would also be great. Thank you so much, and until the next one, bye.